My dear fifth grade children, how are you? Are you fine? Are you stay at home? I hope that you are fine and stay at home. Okay, ma? Have you had your breakfast? Okay, okay, fine. Let us start to study, ma. Let us start to study social science. Okay? Are you interested to study social science? Okay, I believe. Okay, fine, ma. Shall we start to study? Okay. Now we continue the second lesson. Am I correct? Okay. What's the title of that lesson? Yeah, that is latitudes and longitudes. Okay. Can you remember it? Okay. Yes, okay. This is already we learned in the previous classes what is latitudes and longitudes. Okay. Okay. Okay, ma. What is latitudes? Anyone say the answer? Do you know what is latitudes? Yeah, a line running parallel to the equator. That is latitudes. Okay, am I correct? Yes. What is equator? In the previous class we learned everything: equator, latitudes, longitudes. Okay, can you remember it? Equator means that is a halfway between the two poles is another imaginary line circling the earth, isn't it? Halfway between the two poles, another imaginary line circling the earth. It is called the equator, isn't it? It divides the earth into two equal halves. Okay, that is the northern hemisphere lies to the north of the equator, while the southern hemisphere lies in its south. Okay, okay. Then what is latitudes? That is a number of lines running parallel to the equator, isn't it? So they go around the earth. They form full circle. They go around the earth. These lines are called latitudes or parallels. So these latitudes otherwise called parallels. Okay. These latitudes are marked in degrees. Okay. The parallels are also marked as north or south according to their location in the northern or southern hemisphere respectively. Okay, ma? There are 90 degrees of latitudes going north from the equator and the north pole is at 90 degree north. Similarly, therefore 90 degrees latitudes going south from the equator. Okay. Okay, this is already we learned it. And some important latitudes also we study that. That is the special parallels. The names Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn, and the Arctic Circle, the Antarctic Circle. This is a special parallels. Parallel means latitudes. You understand more? Yes. What are the main features of latitudes? Can you remember? Okay, that is latitudes. The equator is the longest latitude. Yeah, it is the middle of the imaginary line. It is the equator. This equator is the longest latitude. Correct? Okay. Okay, fine. Second, lines of latitude run parallel to each other Yes, these latitudes run parallel to each other in east-west direction. What direction ma? East-west direction. These latitudes run parallel. These latitudes don't touch or cut each other. Okay, it is parallel, so it is not cut each other latitudes. All latitudes are located at an equal distance from each other. The distance between the two latitudes is equal. This length of the latitude decreases its move from the equator to poles. Okay, this length of the latitude decreases from the equator to the poles. Okay, ma? Can you remember it? I once recall only. So, can you remember it? Previous class we have thoroughly learned these portions. Okay, okay, fine, ma. Now see here. Then what is longitudes? On the globe, can you see the globe? Yes, on the globe, we also find vertical lines running from North Pole to South Pole. Okay, these are called longitudes or meridians. Okay, first we have learned latitudes. Okay, now we again learn longitudes. Again recall longitudes. That is, on the globe, we also find vertical lines running from the North Pole to South Pole. Can you remember it? These are called longitudes or meridians. Latitudes are otherwise called latitudes, otherwise called parallels. At the same time, longitudes are meridians. Can you remember it, ma? Okay, fine. See here. It was difficult to number up the longitudes due to their equal length. Okay. Okay. Now, important features of longitudes. Do you know? Say anyone? Yeah, that is all longitudes are equal length, but these latitudes are not equal. These circles from the near the equator is the very big longest one, and next the circle size is decreased from equator to poles. Nearly poles the circle is compared to one dot only. Can you remember it? But here all longitudes are equal length. Unlike the latitudes, longitudes form semicircles that run from North Pole to South Pole. Okay, this longitudes is vertical line. Can you remember? Longitudes form semicircle that run from North Pole to South Pole. The distance between any two longitudes is decreases as we move from the equator towards the poles. These longitudes cross the latitudes at right angles, that is an angle of 90 degree. Okay, ma? This longitude cross the latitudes because these latitudes are parallels. At the same time, longitudes are vertical line from North Pole to South Pole. So, these longitudes cross the latitudes at right angles. The angle is 90 degree. Okay, ma? That is the previous class portion. Now we learn today's portion, that is differences between latitudes and longitudes. What is latitudes? Latitudes are circles of different sizes. The equator is the biggest circle and latitudes near the poles are the smallest circles. The latitude at each pole is a dot. Can you remember? Okay, latitudes means these latitudes are circles of different sizes. The equator is the biggest circle and the latitudes near the poles are the smallest circles. Equator, that circle is very big in size, but near the poles, that is a smallest circles. The latitude at each pole is a dot. Okay, can you remember? Can you understand? Okay, fine. Then at the same time, what about the longitudes? Longitudes are semicircles of the same size. But these longitudes are semicircles of the same size. They go from one pole to the other. Can you remember more? Longitude means is a vertical line, but it is moves from one pole to other. They go from one pole to the other. Second point, from latitudes, these latitudes are parallel to each other, so they never meet. Yes, these latitudes are parallel to each other, parallel to the equator. It forms a circle. Okay, so parallel to each other from equator to the poles. So never meet. It's a parallel. At the same time, longitudes meet at the poles. Yes, all the longitudes meet at the poles. They are widest apart at the equator. Okay, all the longitudes meet at the poles, both the poles, north poles and south pole also. Can you remember? Can you understand, ma? Carefully listen here. Okay, fine. Now see here. Then third point. Latitudes run in east-west direction. Latitudes run in east-west direction. At the same time, longitudes run in north-south direction. Can you understand? These latitudes are parallel to each other, so they never meet. Okay, then third point, latitudes run in an east-west direction. Latitudes run in east-west direction, that is very important. At the same time, longitudes run in north-south direction. Can you clear it more? Okay, then fourth, the equator is numbered. Equator is numbered as 0 degree. Yes, we already in the previous class we have learnt all the latitudes or longitudes, equator and prime meridian, that is numbered. The equator is numbered as 0 degree. The other latitudes are numbered from 1 degree to 90 degree, that is north or south, depending on which hemisphere they are in. Okay, can you understand? Yes, the equator is numbered 0 degree. The other latitudes are numbered from 1 degree to 90 degree north or south, depending on which hemisphere they are in. Okay, can you understand, ma? Can you remember it? Okay. Then at the same time, longitudes, the prime meridian is numbered as 0 degree. The prime meridian is numbered as 0 degree. What is prime meridian? Do you know? The longitudes are also numbered. The longitude numbered is. Oh, again we see that the differences between latitudes and longitudes once again. First we see the latitudes. Latitudes are circles of different sizes. The equator is the biggest circle and latitudes near the poles are very smallest circle. This latitude at each pole is a dot. That is already we have learned. So at the same time longitudes are semicircle of the same size. Okay, they go from one pole to the other. Okay, ma. Next, latitudes are parallel to each other, so they never meet. These longitudes meet at the poles. They are widest apart at the equator. Okay, ma. The longitudes never at the poles. They are widest apart from the equator. Okay. Then these latitudes run in east-west direction. But at the same time, longitudes run in north-south direction. Can you remember? Okay, ma. Then this equator is numbered as 0 degree. The other latitudes are numbered from 1 degree to 90 degree if it is north or south. Okay. Like here also, the prime meridian is numbered as 0 degree. These other longitudes are numbered from 1 degree onwards, east or west. Okay, these are the differences between latitudes and longitudes. Then we study that why it is very important for latitudes and longitudes. This actually before we have clearly learned that these latitudes and longitudes are only imaginary line that's drawn only on maps and globes only. Why this very important for these latitudes and longitudes? Before that, we study that finding places with the help of latitudes and longitudes. How do we find the places with the help of latitudes and longitudes? Yeah, that is grid. Grid spelling G-R-I-D. What is the meaning of grid? What is grid? Yes, grid means, I will say now, listen here. On the globe, the lines of latitude and the lines of longitude intersect each other at right angles, forming a network. Can you understand more? On the globe, the lines of latitude and the lines of longitude intersect each other at right angles, forming a network. This network is known as the grid. Can you remember it? That is how to form the network. How these longitudes and latitudes intersect each other? Yeah, because these latitudes are parallel near the equator. At the same time, longitudes are vertical. It's moved from each poles, north pole to south pole. So, it is easily intersect these latitudes. So, to form a network. This network is called grid. Okay, this network is known as grid. What's the help of this grid? The grid allows us to locate places on the globe or even a map. Okay, the grid allows us to locate places on the globe or even a map. For example, if you know that Delhi's latitude is 28.30 degree north and the longitude is 77.12 degree east. We can easily locate a point where these two lines cross each other. So, how do we find it means we can easy to locate a point. These latitudes and longitudes where these two lines cross each other. Okay, so this point will give us the exact location of Delhi or exact location of any other places. We can easy to find out. It is very accurate. Can you understand more? Okay, can you understand now? So, what is grid? That is the lines of latitude and the lines of longitude intersect each other at right angles, forming a network. This network is known as grid. This grid is very important for locative places. If latitude and longitudes, that if we know that which latitude and longitudes means we can easy to locate a point where these two lines cross each other. This point will give us the exact location of places. Can you understand more? So the grid is very important one. Okay, fine. Then now we study that atlas. What is atlas, ma? Do you know what is atlas? Atlas means a book of maps is called an atlas. Okay, what is atlas? A book of maps is called an atlas. Okay, atlas spelling, spell that word A-T-L-A-S. A-T-L-A-S. A book of maps is called an atlas. It contains different types of maps showing physical features, countries, states, climate, and so on. Okay. Okay, so what is atlas? A book of maps. This is very important one. Never forget. Okay, keep it in your mind. Okay, ma. Now listen here. A book of maps is called an atlas. It contains different types of maps showing different types of, what are the different types of maps? It's showing physical features, countries, states, climate, and so on. Who is a cartographer? Spell that word. C-A-R-T-O-G-R-A-P-H-E-R. Cartographer. Cartographer means a person who studied and makes maps is called a cartographer. Who is cartographer? A person who studied and makes maps is called a cartographer. What is cartography? Spell that word. C-A-R-T-O-G-R-A-P-H-Y. Cartography. That is, while the science of making maps is called cartography. Okay, cartography means the science of making maps is called cartography. Can you understand more? So we studied today 3 new words, that is atlas, cartographer, and cartography. So this atlas means a book of maps. Okay, can you clear it? Okay, cartographer means a person who studied and makes map is called a cartographer. What is cartography? That is science of making maps is called cartography. Okay, fine, ma. Then so this lesson, second lesson, today we will Oh, okay, we completed. So now recall that some important points again. Yes, now listen here. The lines of latitude and longitude are drawn on maps and globes, but are imaginary lines on the surface of the earth. Now listen here. The lines of latitude and longitudes are drawn on maps and globes. These are imaginary lines on the surface of the earth. Okay, then latitudes are drawn parallel. Latitudes means parallel. Latitudes otherwise called parallel. Latitudes are drawn parallel to the equator. The two tropics and the Arctic and Antarctic circles are special latitudes. Yes, the latitudes we have studied that special, that is tropics of Cancer and tropics of Capricorn and tropics of Arctic and tropics of Antarctic circle. These are some special latitudes. These longitudes are semicircles drawn from pole to pole. Okay, ma? These longitudes are semicircles that drawn from pole to pole. Yes, then all the latitudes and longitudes are numbered. Okay, all the latitudes and longitudes are numbered. Okay, these latitudes and longitudes form a grid on maps that helps to locate places. Okay, ma? These latitudes and longitudes form a grid. Okay, these latitudes and longitudes form a grid. This grid help to locate places. Can you remember it? Today we studied the grid now. Okay, so these latitudes and longitudes form a grid on maps that helps to locate places. Okay, mom. Okay, fine. Study well. Okay. Today I will give this book exercise. Okay, that is study well. That is your homework. Okay, ma? Okay, fine. We will continue the next class. Okay? Okay, fine. Okay.